Welcome to Animania Chronicles, where we dive deep into the captivating worlds of anime, dissecting stories, unraveling characters, and sharing our passion for all things animated. Today, we will talk about the anime, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. The story starts in Japan, where we meet Mikami, a successful 37-year-old man who is living a great life. The only thing missing from his life was a girlfriend. Then he met his friend Tamura, who introduced him to his girlfriend Miho. Mikami was invited to lunch by his friend to celebrate his engagement with Miho. On the way to the restaurant, a criminal appeared. Tamura tried to protect his fiancée, but Mikami pushed him away and was stabbed by a knife. The culprit managed to escape, but Mikami was seriously injured. At that moment, a power system activated and collected Mikami's data. He didn't want to die, and Tamura immediately called an ambulance. As Mikami lay dying, he didn't know that a new body was being created for him. Before he died, he told his friend to delete the data from his computer and make Miho happy. He closed his eyes in his last moment. Mikami didn't notice that he had received several overpowered skills. Tamura was sad, and his best friend died in front of his eyes. Afterwards, Mikami wondered where he was and what just happened. He remembered being stabbed and wondered why he didn't feel any pain. The reason is that Mikami is reincarnated, and he wondered why his body felt strange. Then he realized he wasn't in the hospital and wondered where he was. He was reborn as a slime and tried to adjust to his new body. He couldn't believe that he was no longer human and would live as a slime from now on. A few days later, he learned how his new body works. He was surprised that his body didn't need sleep or food. Then he heard the voice of the power system in his body. He learned that his unique skill is Predator and how it works. He was able to absorb things he ate and learn other powerful skills. He then analyzed the plants he had eaten. He was annoyed because the explanation was too complicated. This is how the power system began to explain it in simple terms. He learned that he could create potions by absorbing the medicinal herbs. Also, he discovered a magic stone ore and planned to absorb all the magic ores in the cave. Suddenly, Mikami stumbled and fell into the water. He wondered if a slime could float because he was afraid of dying again. Then he realized that he hadn't been breathing to begin with and made a plan to get out of the water. He realized he couldn't stop and flew through the cave. Afterwards, he bounced off a wall and learned that he doesn't feel pain as a slime. Despite everything, he takes damage, but his body was able to regenerate itself. Suddenly, he heard a scary voice that asked him many questions. He insulted the voice because he couldn't talk. Then he realized that the monster in front of him could hear his thoughts. Mikami apologized for offending him, and the dragon learned that Mikami has no eyes or mouth. Afterwards, the dragon said that he would give him sight. Mikami made a deal with the dragon, and he taught Mikami to use the skill Magic Sense. He then tried to sense the magic rules around him. He managed to use the skill successfully and receive an extra skill as a result. He could see the cave and was happy about it. He went to the river to look at his reflection. Following this, he thanked him and realized that the voice that spoke to him was a dragon. He learned that he is Storm Dragon Vora, who is one of only 4 true dragons that exist in this world. Mikami said that he will keep his promise and he will come to visit him sometimes. Afterwards, Vora noticed that Mikami was not a normal slime, and he told Vora about his story, that he was reincarnated as a slime. Vora told him that it often happens that people from other worlds are reincarnated into this world. Following this, Vora told him his story of how he was sealed. Vora said that he had fought against a heroine 300 years ago. She was overpowered and was able to seal him in the cave with a special skill. Mikami also learned that this heroine was different and that she called herself a summon. After that, Mikami was told that there are also magicians in this world and that the heroine was summoned to this world through a ritual. Then Vora said that he's bored because he's been sealed in this cave for 300 years. However, Mikami felt sorry for him, and he asked if Veldora would like to be his friend. He was happy that Mikami wanted to be his friend. This was the beginning of Mikami being reincarnated as a slime. He was wondering if his friend Tamura had taken care of his PC. A short time later, Mikami asked what they should do now because he planned to free his new friend. Then he learned that his magic rules will run out in the next 100 years. As a result, he would die, and Mikami felt sorry for him. He decided to absorb the unlimited imprisonment with his unique skill. Unfortunately, This plan didn't work, and he had to think of another plan. The power system suggested options for them to break the seal. Following this, Mikami suggested to Vora that he will absorb it into his stomach. He explained that he would analyze unlimited imprisonment with his unique skills and that he could free him one day. Veldora found his suggestion interesting, and he entrusted his life to Mikami. He said it sounded like fun and was looking forward to making the deal with Mikami. Before Veldora was absorbed, he said that he will give him a name. He also said that Mikami should also give him a new name, so he gave his new friend the family name Tempest, and he liked it. Then Vora said that his new name will be Ruru. At that moment, the Tempest family was born, and Mikami began his new life as Rimuru Tempest. He promised to free Veldora from the seal and absorb him with his skilled predator. However, Ruru absorbed his friend, and his unique skill, Great Sage, began to analyze unlimited imprisonment. Then we see the kingdom of Blumen, and Baron Vert asked Guildmaster Fuse what kind of measures the guild will take about the matter with Vora. Baron Verhar feared that the great forest of Jura would fall under the Empire rule after Vora's disappearance. Fuse told his friend to relax and promise that he would take care of it. In the meantime, Ruru explored the cave like a slime in an RPG game. He learned many skills and was able to attack like a strong water-type Pokemon. In the following days, he became stronger and encountered a monster for the first time. He decided to fight against it and defeated it with a single attack. Then he realized he could get the skills and absorb the monster with his skilled predator. After absorbing the monster, his second unique skill analyzed it and added the new skills to his skill list. Ruru was an overpowered slime who could easily defeat strong monsters. After his victories, he absorbed the monsters and learned their skills with his unique skill, Great Sage. Later, he used a new skill and could move around like Spider-Man. He enjoyed his new life as a slime and gained the ability to speak. Sometimes he would get injured, but his body would regenerate immediately. After several weeks, he discovered a huge gate that led him out of the cave. He was surprised that the gate was opened and hid from adventurers who entered the cave. Rimuru saw people in this world for the first time and learned that the power system was able to translate all languages in this world. Afterwards, an adventurer activated an invisibility skill, and Ruru took the opportunity to leave the cave. He found himself in the forest and was happy to see daylight after a long time. Suddenly, a group of goblins appeared, but Ruru was not afraid of them. Ruru was asked a question and realized that they didn't plan to attack him. He still couldn't control his powers and scared the goblins. They replied that they were aware of his strength and asked him to speak quieter. Then Ruru learned that the goblins sensed a strong monster and wanted to ask him for a favor. As a result, Ruru was led to the goblin village. The village elder welcomed him, and Ruru wanted to know what favor they were asking for. Following this, Ruru learned that many strong monsters had become active since the god of the area disappeared. After this, Ruru replied that he was just an ordinary slime, but they said he did not have to be humble. The power system changed the perspective, and he was shocked that he was giving off the aura of a final boss. Ruru then used an ability to hide his aura. Afterwards, Ruru was informed about the goblins' trouble. They were attacked by direwolves, and most of their village's warriors died in battle. Additionally, he learned that the enemies were over 100 direwolves. The village elder also said that his son, the leader of the warriors, died in battle. At that moment, Ruru decided to help him and asked what he would get in return. He actually wasn't looking for compensation. He thought that he needed to put on a bit of a show. As a result, the goblins swore their loyalty to him, and he recalled a moment of his old life. Suddenly, the dire wolves appeared, and the goblins panicked. They thought it was the end for them, but Ruru promised to defeat them. He said he was Rimuru Tempest, and that day, Ruru became the leader of the goblins. A short time later, Ruru told them that they should just try to do their best, and he would take care of the rest. The goblins were happy to have Ruru as their new leader, and he knew he sounded cool. Afterwards, he looked at the wounded people of the goblin village and planned to heal them with his slime abilities. Ruru ate a goblin, and he healed him with the potions produced in his body. He was surprised that his idea worked and started healing the other goblins with his instant heal skill. The goblins were very grateful that their comrades were saved, and Ruru's next plan was to build a fence. In the night, we see the direwolves, and they had planned to take over the great forest of Jura since Voran disappeared. Then they rushed towards the goblin village, But when they arrived, they discovered the fence that the goblins had built. Suddenly, Rimuru appeared and said that they should turn back, otherwise he would attack them. The pack leader looked down on Rimuru for being a slime, and they began to attack. But the attacking wolves were immediately killed by traps and arrows. At that moment, the pack leader realized that Rimuru was responsible for the traps and charged at him. Rimuru was not afraid, and the enemy fell into his trap. He then used his water blade skill to eliminate him. The leader of the direwolves died, and Rimuru gave them the options to submit or die. Rimuru noticed that the direwolves didn't understand him. Suddenly, he got a great idea and absorbed the wolf boss into his body. As a result, he learned some new skills and transformed into a direwolf. Rimuru warned the enemies and hoped that they would run away, but his plan didn't work, and he thought there would be a fight. Suddenly, the pack of wolves bowed to him and recognized him as the new pack leader. In the end, the goblin village was saved, and Rimuru also became the leader of the dire wolves. In the next morning, Rimuru didn't know what to do with his new followers, so he asked them to pair up and live together. Additionally, he planned to divide them into groups, but he didn't know the names of his new followers. Rimuru learned that normally the monsters in the forest had no names, and he told them that he would give them names. They were happy and couldn't wait to get a name from their savior Rimuru. Following this, he picked out names for the goblins, and Rimuru didn't understand why they were so happy about it. The village elder thanked him for this, and Rimuru said that it was no problem. After all the goblins were named, Rimuru planned to name the dire wolves. Rimuru feared that the wolves had a grudge against him, but he was wrong. Then he gave the direwolf boss's son the name Manga. Suddenly, Ruru's body melted, and he learned that his magic reserve was below the minimum limit. As a result, he was in sleeping mode, and he learned that giving names consumes mana. He wished it had been told to him first and waited until he could move again. A few days passed, and Rimuru woke up. He was confused because an unknown goblin girl greeted him. Then Rigard appeared and explained to Rimuru that they had evolved through their new name. Rimuru was surprised at this, and Ranga showed up to greet his master. Ranga was happy that his master was awake, and he accidentally caused a tornado that destroyed the house. Afterwards, Rimuru was celebrated by his followers, and he noticed that Gobuta had not changed at all. Later, Rimuru remembered that he only gave Ranga a name, and he learned that all wolves evolve because all of them are ones. The reason for this was that his name had become their clan's name. Then Rimuru was blown away because Ranga couldn't yet control his new power. A few hours passed, and Rimuru put on a fake mustache. He learned that his mustache didn't suit him, and he took it off. Then he established 3 rules that the residents of his village must follow in order to live peacefully. Rimuru asked why they weren't allowed to attack humans. Rimuru explained to them that he likes humans, and Rimuru said that he likes humans too. Additionally, Rimuru explained how humans live, and he planned to coexist peacefully with each other. After this, he told Elder Rigard that he is now the Goblin Lord, supposed to lead the goblins, and was grateful for his promotion. He also gave the goblins and wolves jobs, and they had a lot of fun doing it. Following this, he noticed that the goblins had trouble building houses, and the clothes they made were a bit too rough. Suddenly, Rigard told him that dwarves have the skills to build houses or make clothes. He was happy about this information and planned to meet some dwarves. Then he told Rigard to look after the village while he is away. Afterwards, Rimuru set out with a small group to meet the dwarves, looking forward to his next adventure and smiled. Then we see Rimuru and his friends follow the Amal River north in search of artisans who can make clothing and houses. Rimuru told Ranga that they didn't need to push themselves too hard. In the evening, they took a break, and Rimuru asked Rimuru how his brother got a name. Rimuru said that a demon called Lord Gelman gave his brother a name. Then Rimuru wondered if Ranga is angry at him for killing his father. Ranga replied that he is rather grateful that Rimuru spared them and gave them names. Afterwards, they had dinner, and Rimuru asked Gobuta questions about the town they're heading. He learned that many different races live in the armed nation of Dwan, such as elves and humans. Rimuru was excited to meet elves and learn that dwarves are very peaceful monsters. Then Guta tried to tell him that he got into trouble last time, and Rimuru had a bad feeling. The following day, they traveled further, and they managed to arrive in just 3 days instead of 2 months because of the dire wolves. That's all for today. Stay tuned for the next part. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the vast realms of anime. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and stay tuned for more thrilling reviews and discussions. Until next time, keep exploring the boundless wonders of anime with us.